This is United Network News with Sunny Galt, Calen, Kimberly Gogan, and our field messengers from around the world. Here's today's real news.
Have you ever wondered about the potential consequences of drug test misinterpretation? Family courts often lean on hair strand tests to figure out if a child should stay with their parents or go into care. These tests are meant to show if someone's been using drugs or alcohol, but experts warn they can be unreliable.
The Bureau of Investigative Journalism in the United Kingdom says children could be wrongly taken from their parents because drug tests are being misunderstood. Hair strand testing has been used in family courts since the 1990s to detect drug use, as drugs like cocaine leave traces in hair as it grows. However, drug levels in hair don't always mean the person's using drugs, because factors like race, hair color, UV exposure, pregnancy, and certain hair products can affect the results. Someone can test positive from living with drug users, while regular users may test negative if their hair has been dyed or treated. Paul Hunter, an expert in the field of drug testing, says cutoff levels are a major issue in drug testing. These thresholds, created nearly 30 years ago and still used, label someone as a drug user if their test result is above a certain level, but don't account for factors like hair color, race, or environment. Darker hair absorbs drugs more easily, meaning someone with black hair can show much higher drug levels than someone with lighter hair, even with the same drug use. This unfairly impacts individuals of African Caribbean, African, or Asian descent, who are more likely to face severe consequences like losing custody of their children. Hunter warns treating positive or negative test results as absolute proof of drug consumption is both dangerous and incorrect.
How does a hair drug test work?
Drugs can get into the hair. Let's talk about scalp hair, although it applies to any body hair as well. So you can get into the hair several ways. One, it can be from sweat. It can be from the sebum, which is the wax, on your skin that is produced. And then also, if someone uses a drug, gets it internally, the blood flow to the hair follicle, the drug will diffuse up into the hair follicle. And what it'll do is, so let's say somebody uses a drug. However they take it, it gets inside, gets in the bloodstream. It'll find its way to the hair follicle, and it'll make a little drug band. Every time you use the drug, it'll make a little drug band. As the hair grows, and hair grows about a centimeter a month, so like maybe less than half an inch, okay? So what happens is as it grows outward, these drug bands will move forward as well. And then when people do hair drug testing, they'll go with scalp hair preferentially if you have scalp hair. And what they do is they cut about, 1.5 inches, and then they'll look in the lab for these drug bands.
Hair tests aren't the only ones prone to errors. Urine drug tests also have a high rate of false positives. These tests can wrongly indicate drug use, even when no illegal substances were consumed. An investigation by the Marshall Project, a U.S. nonprofit news organization, discovered hospitals across the U.S. are using unreliable drug tests on pregnant women, reporting them to child welfare authorities based on faulty results. In 2001, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled hospitals can't drug test pregnant women without their consent or a warrant if the purpose is to alert the police. However, hospitals now bypass this by using drug tests to report mothers to child welfare services instead. Over-the-counter medications, antidepressants, blood pressure pills, and certain foods can trigger false positive drug tests. The consequences are dire. Mothers have lost custody of their children and faced humiliating investigations, even when later proven innocent.
Faulty drug tests can make you lose custody of your baby. Most states require hospitals to identify newborns who are exposed to drugs in the womb and to alert child welfare agencies. Tens of thousands of babies are reported each year, but there's no guarantee that the drug test results are accurate. Many hospitals use cheap urine tests that can give false positive results around half the time, according to some studies. When that happens, child welfare workers or the police could forcibly separate you from your newborn. And research shows the decision to test often comes down to race or class bias. False positives can happen after taking common medications, eating everything bagels or lemon poppy seed muffins, like the ones Ashley Riley ate before giving birth.
It made me feel like I'm this horrible person, I'm this horrible mom, and no one knows me. They don't know who I am.
Birthing patients are not entitled to protections like confirmation tests to prevent this, but most of the caseworkers who investigate them are entitled to those protections.
Being reported to child welfare can cause lasting trauma for mothers and children children removed from their homes can face additional harm, including abuse. The Marshall Project found false positive drug tests affect mothers from all walks of life, leading to unwarranted separations that upset families. Laws on testing new mothers and infants for drugs vary nationwide. Some states criminalize positive results. Others classify them as child abuse. In the past decade, lawsuits and ethical complaints have been filed in states like New York, California, and Alabama after mothers reported false positives from eating poppy seed bagels, using prescribed Valium or asthma inhalers. Due to these issues with drug testing, some hospitals are changing their policies. Major medical groups like the American Medical Association and the World Health Organization recommend using verbal screenings and questionnaires instead of universal drug testing. If you find yourself in a situation where you believe the initial drug test was a false positive, don't hesitate to take action. Requesting a retest and gathering evidence to support your case is essential. Reach out to a medical professional for guidance and advice on possible causes of a false positive.
You just took a urine drug screen and the results are not what you were expecting. What do? You ask for a confirmatory test. And there are two major types. You can do a confirmatory test on the urine itself, or you can have a separate blood draw done to detect drugs in the bloodstream. In each case, the sample is going to be analyzed on a machine called a GCMS. To simplify it, basically this machine detects the drug particles directly instead of the indirect testing that the urine dipstick tests do. And therefore, there's much less chance for error. If you're ever in the situation where you're being accused of either using drugs that you aren't or not taking your medication, ask for a confirmatory drug test.
False positives in drug tests are a major concern for many people, as they can result in incorrect assumptions or consequences. If you or someone you know is facing a situation like this, don't hesitate to push for answers and second opinions. Remember, no test result should define you or your ability to care for your loved ones without proper context.
In Australia, high prices are causing people to live in caravans, buses, or small mobile homes. But local authorities are starting to ban these unconventional homes. UNN Field Messenger Sue highlights this issue.
Hi, Sue here, United Network News Field Messenger on the Sunshine Coast of Australia. There is a housing crisis here. I'm at Cruise Park, which is a free park, but unfortunately there are a lot of people who are here permanently, set up in tents and have been here probably for well over a year because they can't afford to go anywhere else. We now move to Jacqueline's property where she has a solution to the problem and is wondering why the Sunshine Coast Council is not showing any compassion for their solution.
It was a real concern because there was just nowhere for people to go who had their own properties. I had people here in caravan, I had people here in buses, I had people here in tiny houses. In the meantime, somebody in the street had put together a petition against me where they were asking that everything on my property be removed. We asked for council to cease evicting people in a housing crisis. I mean, the overarching problem is the housing crisis. People have to have a way to put a roof over their head, and not everyone can afford a rental today, and not everyone can afford to buy a property. So we have to have other options that haven't been there traditionally.
This is the house. This is the tiny house. It is so beautiful. And then the outside is just as beautiful.
So I've never owned my own home. This caravan is the first home I've owned. And I don't think of it as a temporary dwelling. I think of it as my permanent residence.
So I was put in touch with Jackie from a mutual friend, and Jackie was more concerned with more driven with being a solution to the housing crisis than she was concerned with council repercussions. We really, really wish to stay.
Thank you for watching. This is Sue for United Network News, Sunshine Coast of Australia.
Aircrete is an innovative building material made by combining cement, water, and a foaming agent to create a lightweight yet durable product. UNN Field Messenger Jason shows us how it can be used in construction projects.
This is Jason from United Network News, calling in as a field messenger from Denmark, Western Australia. Darling, you're here from Sacred Domes.
Sacred Domes, yeah.
So tell me, what is Sacred Domes?
Sacred Domes is basically something that I'm really passionate about, is bringing the sacred to our work and to doing for the planet in a way that is more conscious in whatever you do.
Mm-hmm.
So you're walking more gently on the earth. So Sacred Domes is basically working at the moment with aircrete and creating dome structures that are fireproof,
Mm-hmm.
that are vermin-proof, that are insulating against heat and cold.
And so what's happening this weekend?
So this weekend we're running a workshop, or better termed a play shop.
Yep.
Yep. And we have a bit of fun in learning the process of, first off, making bricks. So you learn how to make the mixture of aircrete and pour it into moulds.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so what sort of cost is it to build a dome?
The material costs work out to be about $1,000 per metre diameter.
Yeah, so you can use these domes for lots of different things.
Absolutely. And, like I said, soon we'll have these plans that are basically you're going to be able to build your home without having to go under the radar.
And is there anything else you'd like to share about the intention behind this, or what your purpose behind all of this is?
Yeah, basically what is motivating me for this is just to assist people to have freedom from being stuck in the system.
Thanks, darling.
Oh, my pleasure.
Okay. Love your work.
Yeah, okay. You're doing amazing.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us. This is Jason signing off as a field messenger for United Network News.
Gambling addiction is a serious issue affecting people all over the world, regardless of their background. To prevent this, many countries around the world tightly control it, while others ban it completely. One big reason is the social impact.
Gambling addiction can lead to serious problems like debt, spending less on essentials, lower productivity, and even criminal behavior. For example, online betting was authorized in Brazil in 2018, but a lack of regulation has led to rising gambling addiction and financial issues, even among welfare recipients. In October 2024, Brazil blocked more than 2,000 gambling websites to regulate the sector and address addiction concerns. A Brazilian law signed in December of 2023 requires betting companies to be licensed and taxed starting in 2025, with licenses costing $5.3 million. Gambling addiction, or gambling disorder, is often compared to drug or alcohol addiction because it shares similar signs, symptoms, and even genetic factors. In fact, gambling is officially recognized as an addictive disorder in the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders. The consequences can be devastating, and according to psychiatrists, the impact is very real. Broken relationships, lost trust, overwhelming shame, and intense self-hatred are just among the ripple effects. Science backs this up too. Neuroimaging studies show gambling activates the brain's reward system in the same way drugs do. This creates a compulsive, obsessive urge to keep gambling, even when it's clearly causing harm. These changes in the brain explain why it's so hard to stop and why the addiction can escalate so quickly. What starts as a fun pastime can spiral into a destructive habit almost without warning. So how can you tell if someone might be struggling with a gambling problem? Let's break it down.
Gambling addiction is often also called gambling disorder or problem gambling. It's a cluster of behaviours around gambling that tend to persist for a significant amount of time. To meet formal criteria, you need to meet 4 of the following criteria, and that includes a person feeling that they need to keep on going back to win back losses, feeling that you need to gamble when you're feeling low or depressed to escape negative mood states, a feeling that you need to gamble with more and more money to get that same feeling, that same rush when you gamble, inability to stop gambling even when you want to, feelings of restlessness or irritability when you're trying to cut back and you can't. Some of the characteristics of problem gambling also include trying to cover up your gambling behaviour, for example, by lying or deceiving your family or friends around it. It can also be characterised by needing to depend on other people to pay back money for your losses or cover debts.
With the rise of online gambling platforms and targeted advertisements, it's easier than ever for many to fall into gambling addiction. It can affect people of all ages, including teens. Most teenagers don't see gambling as a big deal. For many, it starts with social media games, dares, or casual sports bets. Young adults, especially those between 18 and 24, are more likely to take risks when they gamble. Their brains are still developing, and until the age of 25, the connection between emotion and logic isn't fully formed. This makes it harder to make good decisions and increases the chances of acting on impulse. Young people are constantly seeing sports betting ads packed with tempting offers, which are super easy to access on mobile apps, so it's no surprise when they're drawn in. You can even place bets during games, which adds to the excitement and encourages more spending. Even though there are age restrictions, teens often find their way onto these platforms through parents, older relatives, or even illegal sites. However, gambling at a young age can seriously harm their mental, emotional, and financial health. One great way to tackle gambling addiction is through early education. Teaching kids and teens about the risks of gambling early on can help them make smarter choices and avoid addictive habits later in life. This means talking about things like responsible gambling, setting limits on time and money, and finding healthier ways to deal with stress or boredom.
What if your child's online gaming wasn't just fun and games? High-speed internet is fueling a hidden crisis you can't ignore. High-speed internet has made online gambling shockingly easy for teens. What starts as a game can spiral into addiction, affecting their mental health and social life. Depression, anxiety, and even aggression are on the rise among young people hooked on these platforms. The laws are outdated and the risks are real. Parents, it's time to step in. Talk to your kids, monitor their online activities, and seek help if needed. Don't let this silent epidemic go unnoticed. Share to spread awareness. Stay vigilant. Stay informed.
Recovering from a gambling addiction is possible with the right steps and support. It's important to remember everyone's journey to recovery is unique, but there are common strategies that can be helpful. Taking the first step toward recovery requires acknowledging the problem and seeking help. You don't have to face it alone. Reaching out to a professional counselor, therapist, or support group specializing in gambling addiction. They can provide guidance, a listening ear, and practical strategies to overcome the challenges associated with gambling addiction. Implementing healthy coping mechanisms and finding alternative activities to replace gambling can also be beneficial. Remember, recovery is a process, and it takes time and effort. With determination, support, and the right tools, you can regain control over your life.
Just stop gambling. This has to be the greatest misunderstanding about gambling addiction. As someone with a gambling addiction myself, I was always told by friends and family, why don't you just stop gambling? You're losing money. Why keep going? But what I'd find out later is that my messed up brain was keeping me going back to gambling because it actually became dependent on the thrill that it gave me. You see, in the brain of a gambling addict, when we gamble, dopamine gets released. That's what makes us feel good. It gives us our high. And for us, the thrill from gambling outweighs the thrill we get from anything else. And it actually tricks our brain into thinking that we need to gamble in order to survive. Because our bodies are hardwired to avoid boredom. And in someone that has an active addiction, it's hardwired a little funky. So if you can't just stop gambling, you're not alone. Come and follow us to learn the truth about a gambling problem and how to get better.
For those struggling with gambling addiction, getting the right resources and support is important for recovery. There are numerous organizations and helplines available to help. Here are some of those resources for gambling addiction recovery.
Clay target shooting began as a method to improve hunting skills without harming animals. Today, it's a popular sport enjoyed by many. UNN Field Messenger Amy introduces us to the world of clay shooting.
Hi, Field Messenger Amy reporting for UNN from Clinton, New Jersey. And today we are at a wildlife management area and they have a shotgun and archery range. So let's go and learn about that. So these are the supplies that you need. We have a gun stand. When you're not using your gun, it always goes in the stand. We have these vests that we wear because a whole box will fit in there so you can shoot and just keep refilling. This is a pad that goes on your shoulder in the vest to protect you from getting bruised from the recoil of the gun. Here we have our shotgun shells. This is a 12-gun shotgun shell, and this is a 20 gauge. The 20 gauge is smaller. It is good for children and I guess more petite people because there's the recoil is not as intense. And of course, always when shooting a gun, you need to wear your ear protection. So this is the thrower that we use. And this orange tubing that goes around lets you know that that's the danger area. What we do is, you pull this down. It's a little hard. Okay. Then you put your clay in there. I can aim it wherever I want. That's why this one is good. I can go up and down. And when the person who's ready, whose turn it is to shoot, they yell pull, and I pull this tab, and it shoots the clay for them.
Okay, we're going to discuss the 3 different types of shotguns that we're going to be shooting today. This is a side-by-side double action. This is an over and under, because the barrels are over and under on each other. Same thing. The last one we're going to be shooting today is a semi-automatic. This one happens to be a Remington 1100. This one you can load up to 10 rounds into a chamber.
Good. Okay. All right. So these are our clays that we use to throw. We use this thrower to throw them out in the air, and we shoot these. These are biodegradable. This one happens to have some powder inside that we use, or orange powder, so when we hit them, they go poof out in the air. This one will just shatter normally, but this is what we're aiming for when we're doing shotgun.
Oh. Cool.
Thanks for watching. Bye.
Holding your baby against your bare skin isn't just a simple act. It's a powerful moment. Skin-to-skin contact, also known as kangaroo care, is more than just a bonding experience. Additional research shows it's essential for your baby's physical and emotional development.
Skin-to-skin contact is as old as humanity itself. Long before hospitals and cribs, mothers carried their babies on their bare chests for warmth and protection. In many indigenous cultures around the world, keeping a baby close was the norm, not just for convenience, but also for survival. Babies needed warmth, safety, and access to feeding, and a caregiver's body was the perfect place for all three. But that started to change in the early 20th century with the rise of modern medicine and hospital births. The standard of care shifted, and babies were often separated from their mothers immediately after birth and placed in bassinets or incubators. Skin-to-skin contact as we know it today was rediscovered in the late 1970s in Colombia. Hospitals in the region faced a severe shortage of incubators for premature babies, so doctors placed the premature babies on their mothers' bare chests. They found the babies not only survived, but thrived.
After baby's born, we love baby to go right up to mom's abdomen and be skin to skin. That skin to skin contact can help baby's temperature to be regulated. Mama is the best temperature regulator there is, better than any warmer. So baby will just be skin to skin, and that also facilitates breastfeeding. Just being next to mom's skin to skin keeps the blood sugar stable. And they think that the milk smells like amniotic fluid, and babies are attracted to the scent. So when they're skin to skin, it helps them to have that first feeding and be right there to have that first feeding, and keeps them really stable in that first hour postpartum. And for the weeks after, skin to skin is fabulous, and it's good for moms and dads and all partners to do.
There's a growing body of research showing the benefits of skin to skin for both baby and parents. For the birthing mother, it boosts oxytocin levels. This is the love hormone that helps the mother create a deep emotional bond. This hormone also helps the uterus contract, reducing postpartum bleeding and aiding in faster recovery. Being close with the baby also lowers cortisol levels in the mother. This is the stress hormone that could have spiked during the delivery process. Reducing those levels helps make the mother feel calmer and more confident. Skin to skin also helps balance other hormones in the mother's body, which, if left unchecked, could result in postpartum depression. Skin-to-skin care is also great for dads and non-birthing parents, including adoptive parents.
Don't forget to have your partners get in on the skin-to-skin contact. This will allow them to bond and boost both of their oxytocin levels. It also can help with postpartum depression because, yes, even our partners can go through this because they're also going through hormonal changes. Your partner has a different skin microbiome than mama, so this allows the baby to be exposed to even more bacterial diversity, which is good for baby's immunity.
When a newborn arrives, sometimes it's possible for dads and non-birthing parents to feel like they're on the sidelines, watching everything happen from a distance. That's why encouraging all parents to practice skin-to-skin care can be such a game changer. It's a simple, meaningful way for them to connect and be actively involved right from the start. Plus, if the birthing mom is recovering from a C-section and can't do skin-to-skin care right away, another parent can step in and provide that closeness until she's ready. While all babies benefit from skin-to-skin, newborns in the neonatal intensive care unit, or NICU, have seen incredible benefits that help promote the baby's growth and recovery.
Here are 5 major reasons why skin-to-skin care is important in the NICU. Number 1 would be that it promotes bonding between you and your baby, so holding skin to skin helps promote that connection and closeness that you might be missing if you have a premature infant or a sick infant in the NICU. Number 2 would be that it helps promote brain development in your baby. So studies have shown that skin to skin can help improve and promote cognitive, emotional, and motor development in your baby. Number 3 would be that it helps regulate your infant's body temperature when you're holding skin to skin. Studies have shown that it helps regulate, and when babies are maintaining their temperature and they're able to keep their temperature elevated, they're able to actually gain weight a little bit better. So this is helpful in helping promote weight gain as well. Number 4 would be that it helps reduce stress in your baby. So when you're holding skin to skin, you'll oftentimes see the vital signs improve or regulate. You'll see the respiratory rate, the heart rate, their oxygen saturation tends to level out or improve whenever you're holding skin to skin. And number 5 would be that it helps enhance breastfeeding. So if you're wanting to breastfeed, when you're holding skin to skin, it does oftentimes help promote milk supply. And once you're ready to start breastfeeding, it does help with the latch process as well.
There's no set time limit for how long you can do skin-to-skin contact with your child. It's beneficial at any age, especially in the early months. For newborns, experts recommend at least 1 to 2 hours of skin-to-skin daily, particularly in the first few weeks, as it supports bonding, breastfeeding, and development. For preterm or NICU babies, longer and more frequent sessions can provide even greater benefits. As your child grows, skin-to-skin can still be a comforting way to connect, even if it's just cuddling on your chest. Ultimately, you can continue skin-to-skin as long as it feels meaningful and soothing for both you and your child.
While skin-to-skin contact offers many benefits, some moms may feel pressure to do it perfectly, which can add unnecessary stress during an already overwhelming time. It's important to remember that skin-to-skin is not about perfection, but connection. Every mom's situation is different, whether it's due to medical recovery, exhaustion, or simply needing time to adjust to life with a newborn. What's most important is finding moments to bond with your baby in a way that feels natural and manageable for you.
Are you ready to change the world? Take the next step and join our weekly Field Messenger meetings. Learn more at unitednetwork.earth. I am United Network News, and so are you.